So we can do a conspiracy one, but we'll make a list.
We'll make a list, yeah, and maybe we can get
people can call in or write in and say, hey, let's talk about this. Moon landing, Sasquatch, all of it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So do you want to recap just the last, this is the first solo episode that we've done in a really long time.
You're already in your podcast voice. This is already happening, isn't it?
I know. Well, we've already been doing...
Hey, and welcome to another exciting episode of Just Us.
But we're living well together.
Well, it's a huge life, big life in a tiny little town. Mm-hmm. Fairborn, thriving metropolitan Fairborn, Ohio.
Yeah.
Right now, though, in the Miami Valley, in our neighborhood, roads are closed and black limousines are everywhere because NATO, the NATO meetings are happening nearby.
Is it all
nearby.
week?
I have no idea. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Do they share a lot of information about that, or is it really kind of
they tell you what
hush-hush?
roads are blocked. You can't go this way. You can't go that way. The museum's closed. I don't know.
So who else is going to be here? Do you know
I don't know. All the National Allied Treaty Organization representatives, I suppose. I don't know. But it's NATO week here in the Miami Valley, and you're going to figure it out.
Yeah, I want to see who they're coming.
I want to say 27. Is it 27 nations?
So will the president be here?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they're not allowed to actually say who's going to be here.
Yeah, probably not. What's that movie where all the world leaders were together in one location and they bombed it out? Olympus Has Fallen, yeah. So
Yikes.
London has fallen, somebody's fallen. But yeah, so maybe they're not just going to tell us who's here and who's not. But that's okay too.
So 300 parliamentarians from NATO's 32 member countries.
Okay, I was thinking 27.
They're going to have a concert for peace, cultural event.
Nobody wants that.
Well, they're still going to put on the show.
Yeah, everybody wants peace. No, they don't.
So yeah, it's going to be all week, 22nd through the 26th.
Yay for that. So restricted areas all week long.
It's going on right now.
No worries. We just stay here in our tiny town. They don't matter.
Yeah, but that feels kind of like a big town thing.
Well, they had the Dayton Peace Accords here too, back when Clinton was in the White House.
Is it because of Wright State? Or Wright Pat?
Wright Pat, yeah. The military base has a lot to do with that.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't ask a lot of questions about that.
So roads and skies today for us. We noticed roads closed and skies were extra.
But it's also been a little minute since we've had just an episode with me and you.
Yeah, it's true.
I've missed you.
Do you want to give a little recap over the last, it doesn't have to be over the last 3 months or anything. That would be a lot to remember.
Yeah, I don't know what we had for dinner 3 nights ago, let alone what happened 3 months ago.
Yeah, but you did have a ladies' night event, and that was really super fun.
Yeah,
and I was very honored because
every May, we do that every May. Mm-hmm. Background information. Yes, you're honored. We'll get to your honoring point. But the week of Mother's Day, we always do our women's health workshop, ladies' night. And it's very common to have 30 or 40 gals, and we set up a big bar with different chocolates and strawberries and fruit and champagne and some savory snacks.
They can go through and they create their own little bag of goodies
buffet.
To go home.
Yep. And then we do and I've always done it. So every year we do that. I'm always the only male in the room.
And you still were this year.
Which I love. Yeah. Well, but this year we we broke it up a little bit. As I'm putting together the slides in the workshop, I'm like, why am I doing this? I have an expert on these subjects in my house. She should do it. And then I don't have to.
But we did it together, which I thought was really fun. It was more like a talk show style, kind of like a podcast style.
Yeah, it was similar to that.
Yeah. And so you asked me some questions and we talked through it.
Well, you wrote a book.
Engaged.
Why would you be the expert on this? Well, because you're, the author of The Radiant Reset. That's why. Can our people get a copy of this somehow?
Yes, it's on Amazon.
Is it hardcover and or softcover? Or ebook.
Mm-hmm. And it's soon to be an audiobook.
And there's no pictures. Anytime a book doesn't have pictures for coloring, I'm a little nervous.
I do have a graph in there. There is some of that.
Some visual other than just text.
Yeah. I had a really good time writing it.
I got to say, when I'm going to write another book, because we had put a book together when ago?
2018.
And that was just this little paperback, and it was just really our thoughts and our first foray into putting anything on paper. And it was hard. I thought it was hard. Did you think it was hard?
No.
A lot of it is just concepts that we've lived for years, but putting it all in an organized format on paper and revising it and modifying it and then thinking, oh, that's horrible, I got to redo that part or whatever. It took a long time. It took a lot of brain power for me.
Yeah. Well, it took brain power for me too. I think that the outcome was worth the effort, and I kept reminding myself that.
Okay.
On the days that were hard, I'm like, this is going to be so wonderful once we have this done. And it was an accomplishment, and it's something that you wanted to do way longer than I ever
Well, I had started it probably 2 years before we finished it and put it down because it was so hard. That, and there's 42 other things to do. That's back when we were way more active in the politics of healthcare and some of the other things. So it was cumbersome. I just put it down.
Yeah. I think if we hadn't had Michelle helping us put that together, I don't think it would have happened, because we didn't know the structure. Right. We didn't know, who to talk to help with the revisions.
So we actually paid somebody else to show us how to write a book.
Yeah.
And I think
amazing.
She did a great job. It was money well spent.
Worked well with us.
And we can it did.
Because I really think about it. I mean, she kind of held our feet to the fire.
Right.
She's like, nope, you guys
Deadlines,
need to have
timelines,
this.
commitments. Yes. You said you would get it done, yada, yada, yada.
And,
they were worried too, really not about us being perfect, or they weren't worried about us being perfect. They were like, just get it done.
Right.
And we'll tweak it along the way, which they did. And it worked out really, really well.
We didn't have we had some stats in there. My book has a lot more stats, so I had to be much more careful.
Okay.
I have
for referencing
purposes, and I have a lot more footnotes and things like that in there. So it had another element.
But you have a much more detail-oriented brain than I got.
Yours is detail-oriented, but yours is detail-oriented to fun stuff.
We finished this project, and then not in the terribly distant future past that, you said, hey, should we revise that? I'm going to write another book. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no. My brain is done writing books. Yep. But yours was not. And I am so proud of you. I mean, you put an extraordinary amount of energy into this. And are you happy with it?
I am really proud of it. I was proud of it when it first came out on February 16th.
It's a big book.
It's 382 pages.
It's a lot.
It's heavy because it's a hardcover.
It's a lot of book.
Yeah.
And it covers a lot of subjects. Who's your primary target audience, though? Who's going to who will enjoy this book?
Women just like me that are either premenopausal or postmenopausal or right in the thick of it, that are really feeling stuck in their health journey, and it's taken a toll on their emotional wellness then too. So I just cover all those aspects, just give them tools and options to move them out of that stuck zone. Yeah. Have you read it, babe?
I have read chunks. I have not gone cover to cover. You know the answer to that.
I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah. I read it in chunks.
Well, it doesn't really, the only thing it would do is help to explain me to you.
I mean, let's face it. When my hormones aren't balanced, I can get a good sweat going.
Men can have issues with hormone
we call it
balance.
menopause.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, you guys do cycle every 3 months or so too. And,
no doubt.
It's definitely something that we learned along the way. But, it's just the holistic guide to peptide therapies, hormonal harmony, and
metabolic function. Yeah. And there's just a ton of great resources. The thing I love about this is that it's not a one size fits all. Mm-hmm. Everybody can read this and you'll get different information out of it, even from the same text, because of where people are in their specific portion of the journey. Yeah. But you don't proclaim yourself to have all the answers. You do a wonderful job of saying, here's what's worked for me.
And I'm not a doctor, and I'm not trying to prescribe, treat, or diagnose any conditions, but I have learned along the way some really, I think of as being revolutionary types of therapies that can really move the needle. The challenge is that in the last 5 years, we have increased toxicity, and a lot of increased stress. So what I've seen in the last 5 years is people that used to do really, really well with oral supplements, liquids and tinctures and herbal remedies, and they could restore their wellness with those things. And in the last 5 years, that's just not happening. It almost makes them feel more stuck because those things aren't working, and that makes them feel more broken. It's like, well, this used to work for me and now it doesn't work for me anymore.
Right.
And it's really, then it becomes a mind game where it's like, oh my gosh, I must be really sick.
Do you think it's because the supplements are different? Do you think it's because the people are different? Do you think it's because the planet is different? What do you attribute the lack of progress for people to?
The world is different. The world is more toxic in the world. And then we also have toxic stress. And that is a result of all of the lockdown situations, the introduction of different substances
and
into
all
our
the data
world.
that's coming out on that nowadays. Oh my heck, the whole circumstance with the injection and the
Right. And what
mRNA
that's
therapy and the genetic changes that's producing for people.
And right. And I do think that plays a part in it. A lot of my clients have not gone down that route with being injected with any vaccines, COVID vaccine.
Well, they call it that. It was really more of a gene therapeutic experiment.
So not all of them have, but they've all been exposed in some way or another, or maybe they have gotten sick and just haven't gotten out of that. Ones that got COVID, then they're in this long COVID situation. And these therapies can really take them out of that.
Said long COVID is not really long COVID. Long COVID is the changes that have taken place as a result of the gene therapy.
But so are you saying the gene therapy is part of what happens to anybody that had gotten COVID during that time?
No.
Okay. So these are people that were not vaccinated that have long COVID.
Okay.
And so give, things like thymosin A, some of the things that are really going to kickstart their immune system can make a difference. So, this is about weight loss too, but there's so many of those regenerative therapies that have nothing to do with weight loss. Like I haven't been on tirzepatide for 1.5 years, but we still use injectable therapies to help our wellness quotient.
Right. And so your book really does a nice job of combining, here's what would be considered more traditional medical therapy versus combining it with things that medicine has no stake in, natural therapeutic things that have been withstood the test of time, so to speak. And different practitioners of different things as well. So part of it is about people's physical well-being and their weight management or their blood chemistry management.
Yes, which is
part of it is about their emotional and their spiritual well-being. I mean, you make suggestions for all these things.
Yeah, and I talk about our body code and how transformational that's been for us and for my clients too. So covered all of it, the physical, emotional, and spiritual part of it. But my favorite chapter, and I was wanting to mention that I added a whole nother chapter since February 16th.
Okay.
And so that was it was exactly what I needed to round it out the way I wanted it to go. And it was about nutrition, which is something that I love. Like that's my favorite part of the whole thing. And somehow it got missed until I'm like, where's the nutrition chapter? But my favorite chapter is like, I think it's chapter 15, but it is called Wacky, Weird, and Wild Wellness Wonders. And
that's a lot of alliteration.
I know, I love alliteration. Enter this chapter at your own risk. So it's about some really crazy things like ibogaine and methylene blue and tesofensine and some things that will become much more common,
mainstream. Yes, they already are actually. Some of the things.
Some of them are, yeah. But it was fun. It was fun to write that. It was fun to research each one of those things and pull white pages from PubMed and some of the different places that I like to do research. And I'm like, oh, this is fun. People will like this.
So this is kind of what we shared at Ladies' Night.
Yeah.
To circle back,
yes. We talked about
because
those
we mashed 386 pages. Is that what you said? It's a lot.
382 pages?
Into a 45-minute conversation where we just got to sit and kind of go through some of the basics.
We focus more on weight loss for that one, I think, or metabolic function and the connection to metabolic function and weight gain.
Okay.
I felt like that's kind of the way we tied that together.
See, I've always been of the opinion that people don't need to lose weight. Like we're 72% of the population is obese in America. We've got a problem. I'm not saying we don't, but I think weight gain is a symptom. Weight gain is a symptom of metabolic imbalance. Weight gain is a symptom of bad choices. Weight gain is a symptom of things that accumulate over time as far as toxicity goes. So I don't think people need to lose weight. My thing has always been people need to get healthier.
Yeah.
And so health has to do with the way the brain and the body are communicating. It has to do with what you eat, drink, or don't eat and drink. It has a lot to do with who you hang with or what you listen to on the news or the radio or whatever. I've always just been like, you don't need to lose weight. You need to get healthy.
Right.
Which is maybe a little too trite.
I think it's a little too trite.
Yeah. I knew you were going to say that.
Especially if you're talking to a menopausal woman. And you're like saying, well, you just need to do this and you're going to be fine.
Right.
Because that is not true. You cannot, after all of my research, you cannot tell me that you need to exercise more and eat less to reduce that weight that is going to restore the metabolic function, Because I thought that I needed to balance my hormones to lose weight. And what I needed to do was lose weight to balance my hormones.
Backwards.
Yeah. Completely different than what I thought.
Do you think everybody's that way? Every woman at peri and post and pre-menopause? Everybody's that way?
I really do think that zombie hormones hang out in fat cells, and it really throws off our hormonal harmony.
And when you're feeling as awful as you were feeling there for a while, exercise is a low priority. You've always had a lot of energy. Well, actually, you've always pushed through low energy days. I shouldn't say you always have a lot of energy. You just push through because that's just your way. But to see the transformation for you in the last 2 years, ish, 2 years, you're 25 pounds lighter. 30 pounds lighter. Energy is through the roof. 90% of the time.
Yes, 90% of the time.
Writing this book was a stressful time. I won't lie. In the house that we live in, I was glad this book got done. Just to get my wife back. Because when she says she's going to do something, she's going to do it.
Well, and once you get into
else
it,
gets to park for
starting and stopping in a book writing mode is really, really hard because it's almost like you need then an hour to regroup. Okay, where was I at? What was I saying? And so it's almost better to just
And it's so funny,
through.
Just kind of as a sidebar, one of the things that's always been fascinating about our life is that since we've had children, you have not worked outside the home.
Correct.
You have not had a job where you go clock in here or there or leave the house at a given time. So everybody, I won't say everybody, but people who don't know what they don't know have always assumed you just lay around eating bonbons all day because, you homeschooled your kids and now they're out of the house. So you must just have all this free time to just lay around the pool and do zero. And that could not be further from the truth.
Right. But it is fun to be able to design our lives.
You get to design your day, no question. Yeah. But it's full of conference calls or personal calls or meetings or, when I have a day off, I interrupt your day thinking you got a day off too, and I'm always wrong.
No, this is something that we've talked about as far as retirement, right? It's like, I'm
not going to retire because it'll wreck your life. Because I could lay by the pool all day, and
But it maybe would help me.
Not every day.
Not every day.
I would be a lousy retiree.
You really would. Like you don't do well just hanging out.
But your day is super scheduled, very regimented. 90% of the time, you know what you're doing in the next hour, till the end of the day. And I am not that way. I can kind of shoot from the hip a little bit.
You're much, and you like playing.
But I like downtime. I want playtime. I will absolutely create time to do less productivity. We've been led to believe that if we're not being productive, somehow it's bad. Well, guess what? It's not.
Right. And that's a lesson that I've learned over the past, because of you. It's that over the course of our lifetime, because I always lived by a to-do list.
And I have a to-don't list.
True.
Yeah. Well, it's not actually a list, but it's all in there. Like I got 42 things I'm supposed to be doing today, like right now. And this is at the top.
And this is
and when I get back to the house, we'll get those other things done.
I know. And that is the nice thing about designing our lives, is that we can start and stop the way we want, and we can shift things when we want and decide what's the most important, what's the least important.
Right.
I want to circle back around as far as the hormones and weight loss and how that
We could do
equated.
like an entire episode just on hormone balance,
We
I
totally
think.
could. But I wanted to let you know that the clients that I work with are reporting back to me the same thing, that they're seeing their blood numbers, their hormone blood numbers change
Right.
after they've lost weight. And that's because 96% of our society are metabolically broken. And by losing weight, you're restoring that metabolic function. So it all works and plays together.
So part of what happens, just for those of you at home who maybe is trying to play along with this little game show we call Our Life, people hire Lisa to coach them on their wellness journey. And when they're stuck, nobody calls you saying, hey, I feel really good. Can you help me? No, that's not how it works. And so people can reach out and be in touch, and it's a schedule, and she's a coach, and she is going to connect you to the people either that you need to help you get where you want to go, or she'll connect you to other people who can help you find the people that let you get where you need to go.
For the most part, I can usually have the connections that they need for next steps. But if I don't, I'm always able to find somebody.
Right.
And I always do a 15-minute, like a complimentary consult call to start out and see if we're even a fit for each other.
The wildest thing about this is when we, 25 years ago, when we were the weirdos in the community who didn't do certain things, and we didn't drink tap water, and our kids didn't eat cereal, and we didn't have milk,
Hot dogs.
Yeah, we were health nuts or whatever, and people would then call. They would call me, or they would call Lisa when they were unwell or their kids were not responding. And so we've been coaching people. I do it in the practice every day. But we've been helping people figure things out for a long, long time. And what we've done now is actually let you turn it into a business. It is now what you do.
Right.
So there's not this lay around on the couch eating bonbons all day. It is you're coaching people all day. There's a regimented schedule of those things, or you'll be on a call for Crunchy, or you'll be on a call for a different podcast. You've been guests on other shows. So yeah, your lay around the house time is pretty like non-existent.
I like it that way. And speaking of Crunchy, it's the perfect offset for that decreasing toxicity plus increasing sufficiency equals metabolic transformation.
Right.
So it's like, how much more fun can swapping out your makeup be? Like, that's a really fun way
love it.
to start the process of detoxing your life. And so decreasing toxicity a lot of times can start with that.
Well, and every disease process is either toxicity or deficiency. Every disease, I don't care what you want to call it, every disease process is either too much of something in the system or not enough of something in the system,
Right.
or some bizarre combination of toxicity and deficiency. So, kind of what you enjoy doing is figuring out the matrix for that person. Like,
Right.
oh, here's where the pollution starts, and here's what you can do about it. And if you switch this and switch that, suddenly your metabolic rate can change, your sleep pattern can change, your hormone balance can change, your energy level can change, your joy level can change. Yeah. So all of it is, it's you enjoy the challenge of just solving the mystery.
It is. And all your symptoms are just clues.
Well, and I always tell people this too, the body you're living in, everything you're experiencing today is perfect for every choice you've made until today.
Yeah.
If you don't like what you got to make different choices. But if you're thrilled, if your weight's great, your tone's great, your tempo's great, your sleep's great, if all things are as they should be, our message to you would be keep doing what you've been doing because you've got it figured out. If you don't like any of those things, that's the body's way. That's the innate wisdom of your intelligence saying, hey, change something because what you're stuck here and it's not working. Yeah. And so to get people unstuck, it might be a food thing, it might be a supplement thing, it might be personal care products at home, it might be I don't know. There's a million things that need to be looked at.
In a million different combinations.
And it's hard. Yeah. The fun thing about this is you've done 90% of the homework for people, or at least done enough homework to let them start pointing themselves in a better direction. Super fun. Yeah. And so our ladies' night was a big success. Everybody got to enjoy some food and some fellowship and some time. And then they got to ping questions off of you as well.
Yeah, that was
and all I had to do was just, be the eye candy.
And I've loved it because I've connected with a lot of them since ladies' night and am working with them to get back on track.
And everybody's dealing with it.
Yeah.
Underline the word everybody's dealing with it. It's just to varying degrees. And so if you like the health that you're currently enjoying, just keep doing what you're currently doing. If you don't, or your genetic window to the future, by the way, you're the oldest living person in your family is your genetic window to the future. You have the capacity to live as long as that person, genetically speaking. But lifestyle choices matter, and lifestyle choices trigger genes.
Right.
The epigenetic mindset understands that genes can be turned on and off, and the science on that is astounding. Maybe we could do a whole nother episode on epigenetics. There's a handful of things there as well.
And talk about the triggers that turn them on and off.
Right.
Because I think that people think that they're destined because
my mom had it, so I'll have it. And that's just blatantly not true anymore.
Right.
It used to be true because that's what science said, and now the science is very different on that.
But we love to use blood testing to take a deeper dive into what's happening below the surface.
Yeah, blood doesn't lie. Symptoms can be tricky because what hurts one person may not hurt the next person, or what creates inflammatory changes in one person may not trigger those same changes in a different person's. But blood work doesn't fib.
Yeah, exactly.
It will tell you point blank, here's where things are.
Yeah, so I love a comprehensive panel for a lot of my women clients. And not right away necessarily. It's like, let's get you started. And then let's take a peek in 90 days. Right. 90 days to me is like such a good cycling period.
Well, everybody wants it yesterday. You know, that's the other thing with us, especially here in America. We just think everything should be fast. Right. You know, it took me 60 years to get this fat, but I should be thin again in 20 minutes. Not true. So when we look down the road at the overall health of the country, and even there are people in high places now that are looking for different solutions to the health crises that we enjoy as Americans. So
because that's something that they're talking about as far as decreasing toxicity, taking out the seed oils, taking out the dyes, that is decreasing toxicity. And then you might need to increase efficiency after that. And
there's an argument to be made that the same people who sell you bad food sell you the drugs to offset the beating from bad food. So it's kind of a sinister place when you start picking it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're here to provide solutions.
Yeah,
and that was the purpose of the exercise.
Yeah. Thanks for making me feel special, babe.
You are special. And so when we plug into maybe a next episode, maybe we'll do another one, just you and me. But gosh, we could spin off on all those things for hours. And just put people just put them to sleep with this conversation. Maybe not.
I know, just because it gets me excited.
So maybe next time we'll just do something wacky and fun, like nothing deep dive. Everything will be just like.
That's a good idea.
Well, we got some questions. Actually, we had
a very.
Well, this was a surface conversation about a serious subject, though.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just do something ridiculous next time and have nothing to do with health and well-being and everything to do with.
You know what? We always say this, and somehow it always wraps back around to health and wellness.
Yeah.
Is that epigenetics?
I like talking about things that we know.
That's probably it. Yeah.
Why would we talk about stuff we don't know anything about?
I think we're going to keep this nice and short. So you want to sign off?
Yeah. What should they do though if they
subscribe, and share with all your friends and family?
I knew there were 3 things.
Yes.
Like, subscribe, share.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. We love that. We love seeing the comments on the episodes. And we've had some really fun episodes.
We'll use some commentary, maybe just answer questions for our next episode.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. See you next time.
Bye.
And we can do whatever you want. Anything you want. Anything at all. Anything that gets me back to the house. Quick.
So that you can do power washing? Are you anxious to do power washing?
I got a bad case of STD. Stuff to do.